little bit of time. Basically, a lot of that was to do with the patch. The patch came out and that completely and utterly changed my way of playing. For Evil got nerfed, which was absolutely devastating. So I had to move on and use someone else. So I've worked on Viscaria. I've also worked on leveling up quite a few other ancients. There's quite a few new ancients that have come out, which have been quite exciting. I managed to get quite lucky with quite a few of these. Zolonia looks fantastic. I'm really looking forward to leveling her up. Essentially, it's just giving you that massive health boost while you're battling, which is just fantastic. I got Brander. He's a bit of a strange one. Immune to spell tower, which is the flame bolt, and the curse touch, which is useful. The twisted curse. Now, I'm not 100% sure how beneficial that will be, but I'll have to get him leveled up. And then Unholy Blade. Now that does look like it could be pretty brutal using Viscaria and that ability. Also managed to get Burna, which is fantastic. I haven't managed to get her leveled up all that much. Got Viscaria up to level 30. The two that I've mainly been working on since I got them were Jal and Erasmus. These two look as if they're going to be pretty good. Erasmus got Fix on his shield. But anyway, enough of me talking and showing you ancients. It's probably more important that I actually show you some battling. So I've learned a new technique, or just perhaps understood Viscaria a lot better than I had before. I've got 3 stones for this video, and I've got some diamonds to basically give me some more. So the technique is using Viscaria as my ancient as well as my dragon. Always bring maulers because of the way that people set up nowadays. It's giving you kind of a lot to think about in terms of where you're going to start your flights from. That didn't go as well because he's actually quite cleverly placed his barracks. Total mental blank there for a second. And which has meant that basically when my maulers go in to destroy that weakened ballista, they're absolutely taking out the maulers. So the technique is basically using this toxic nova to create your hole, as you usually do, while using flights to weaken buildings as well. What I haven't shown you as well, this base didn't really lend itself to it that much. I've learned that by increasing the amount of time that you're attacking buildings, you can really make a dent in terms of building up lots of flights. The fire elementals are actually quite useful. I found them quite useful anyway. Now they get absolutely murked every time you place them down, but the idea is that it's something I've had to learn, and this is tip 1 for this video, is distraction techniques. So you're not necessarily going to need all of your troops to take out every single building in the way before you get to the stronghold. One of the best techniques is to place down a unit to take fire. Now that may be used if you want to get a dragon attacking a certain building. It can be used if you want to soak up spell tower attacks, so that flash freeze, or the ice touch from the spell towers, or the curse touch from the death spell towers. Placing down a throwaway unit, say you've got 1 reinforcement given to you by your kingdom, it's a fantastic thing to do, just to place down that 1 unit, take a hit from the spell towers, and then place the rest of your troops. Now this is a kind of perfect base that I was kind of hoping I was going to get to be able to show you guys. So as you can see, Toxic Nova goes down on what I think is the weakest section. If I was going against a higher stronghold base, I would probably use the Toxic Novas on the strongest section. Now that would be because I would be looking to cause as much damage to the buildings that I knew were going to cause me the most trouble. As you can see, as I said from last time, you look to extend the time that you're attacking a building for as long as possible. So I've got 2 flights saved up right now, but I'm going to continue that attack, because what I don't want, and where your dragon is really going to get taken down, is when it spends time just basically staying in the same spot getting attacked because you can't make her do another flight. So here we go, I'm going to do another Toxic Nova. We'll do 1 more flight and just let her do her thing. Now it's not a perfect example because I'll just be doing it, but essentially I'm placing down those. I'm placing down my units and I'm waiting for the spell towers to basically take off before I place all of my troops. So now I'm placing in the last set of my troops and I've waited. That's second tip for this video. Don't place all your troops in one go. I don't see any benefit to placing all your troops straight away. You think you're potentially getting more damage in, but what you're better to do is wait till you're closer to the stronghold or till you really need them before you place your troops. Now I came across this technique because I was trying to show people in my kingdom the best way to attack in a raid by using the least amount of troops. And I was learning slowly but surely that sometimes dropping in, a set of soldiers or a set of wardens in at that last minute can make a real difference, especially up against bases that you're struggling against. The way that Space Ape have changed the game means that you can't attack majorly higher than you were attacking before. You used to be able to, you used to be, I was SH level 10 and I was coming up against SH 15s and beating them. That's far more difficult now, since they've done the kind of the patch and the update in terms of changing the way ancients work and changing the AI of some of your troops. So as you can see, I'm just doing my usual, doing my flights, but this time there's another way to use, tip 3, way to use these fire elementals. If there are buildings with low health, these guys explode when they get destroyed and cause damage to the buildings. I'm now going to set down my troops from my kingdom to soak up, and then I'm going to plow in the rest of my guys into that hole. So I've still not placed everyone that I've got left. Still not placed everyone, still waiting. There's absolutely no need to be placing down the last set of troops that I've got now because they're just not needed. And now, at the end of this attack, I've still got 2 troops that I can place should I need to. So I'm going to get rid of that there, punch a hole in there because my guys have spent ages doing the walls. When I use my last stone, I'm going to show you the next tip for using Viscaria, but I'll talk about it now just because we've got to wait. The rest of this is just a formality. So the poison touch ability, look at the amount of damage that they cause with that poison touch ability for 10 seconds. Now if you're really struggling, you're at an SH and you know that you're not going to have enough time to destroy that base, dropping down that poison touch ability, it's insane. It's absolutely insane how quickly they destroy buildings. I used to use the first and third ability to destroy a lot of buildings. Well, I still do. It's a really useful technique, but sometimes what it comes down to is you're using so much more mana to attack with the Toxic Nova and the Expunge, whereas you can use the Poison Touch, and before you know it, you've got another Toxic Nova on its way. So as a whole, I mean, Viscaria is I find it quite a versatile dragon to use, and an ancient to use. I do think that Talzin's potentially still the best dragon out there. The ability just to chain some of those destructions together is just so powerful. The only thing I just wanted to mention just with this base here, just as I'm doing it, this base is extremely well laid out in terms of where he's hitting my dragon. I'm probably going to lose my dragon quite quickly. So the key here is going to be my distraction. So down goes the distraction up at this end, and then goes the rest of my troops just here. Now the reason I'm holding back one set of soldiers is because I want them to go straight in for this middle section when it goes down, because basically that's where the SH is, that's where it's most important. So that's it, they've gone in because I know they're just going to go straight for the stronghold. Now if I'd had enough, I would have used the Poison Touch ability, but what I'm going to use instead is the Expunge to try and get rid of some of these buildings. And that wasn't a perfect attack by any means. The kind of third or fourth training point today is that you can be a bit dirty with Viscaria, in that you could use this Toxic Nova to steal gold at the end. So say you've lost all your troops, but there's still a lot of gold to be created. You just drop it down on these gold smelters and on the gold storage, and that's you're getting the extra gold out of it. Even if you never lose, you can still try and get some gold from it. Take a small victory from the defeat. I'm really hoping to get more Kestrel though, because I'm struggling to get this Viscaria any higher, or some more Death Primus, but I keep getting these 500s. I think that's potentially one of my biggest. I think that's potentially one of my biggest kind of gripes about the game, is that 500 Primus is near enough useless. It doesn't do very much unless you're using it on a lower level, in which case I'd rather be using higher Primus because I can get it up higher quicker and for cheaper. So here we go, this is going to be a much better base to show you guys this on. Distraction technique as well as attack. Another block base, I find them quite boring, but they are effective. So I'm dropping Viscaria down to get some more of the mana. I've dropped the Toxic Nova on this top section here, because that's where these spell towers are that are going to cause me a headache. And also I dropped Viscaria here because there wasn't anything that was really going to attack her. As soon as she starts getting hit, I'm going to start my flight. And I'm going to let her fly back nice and slow. That's a great thing about Viscaria. Quite often I will whistle the Empire March, the Star Wars theme track, as I use Viscaria, because she's slow, steady, and menacing. Here's a perfect example. So I drop down my distraction ability, or my distraction troops, and then in go the rest of my troops. I'm going to hold back one set of soldiers, and I'm dropping this poison. Now look how quickly that SH goes down. Gone already. And then this is when I've used my expunge just to take out these kind of buildings just around the sides. It's especially good, just as I said before, if you're trying to steal gold, drop down a Toxic Nova, and then your expunge, and you've instantly destroyed one of these gold storages. I don't have enough mana just there to do it, but didn't need to. So that is that down. So Viscaria, all in all, fantastic dragon. Biggest training tips, biggest tips with using Viscaria as an ancient is the difference with, it's something to learn about what I was just talking about with the Toxic Nova and the expunge. If you use Toxic Nova and expunge, you can no longer place any Toxic Novas on any of the buildings. So basically, once the expunge has done its thing and removed the toxin from the building, it can no longer have any toxin placed on it. So that means that the poison touch won't work and the Toxic Nova won't work whatsoever on the building you've expunged. Okay, now the amount of times I was going, it's not working, they've broken it again, there's another thing that's not gone through. No, that's not the case. The case is that once you've expunged all of the poison, it will not work. So that's one of the things that stopped me using that as much, and it's kind of a good thing because that's what led me to understand how good this poison touch was. Because instead of going for that third ability, I thought, well, hey, let's check out what the second ability is, and I was really happy with it. So down go my distraction fire elementals. I guess in a game like this, your technique has to constantly change, and it'll change as a result of the things that they give us. If they give us what's going to happen after the fire elementals, I don't know. If we're going to have an ice campaign, the Flame Pyre obviously is a limited time that's out for. So I don't know what they've got in mind. But in terms of for technique just now, that's my technique. And you can use Maulers as your distraction once we lose the fire elementals. They soak up a lot of damage, and they're very good units for doing that. So the rest of this is just a formality. We've destroyed that base. Got quite a good streak at the moment. I think they seem to have fixed matchmaking quite well. I'm pretty happy with the way that's going. Before I was finding I wasn't even getting past like 3 in a streak, which was just absolutely brutal. In the individual tournament at the moment, managed to get 10 battles up to 85. One of the tips I have for that, start at 1 battle. If you get yourself up to 11, then you're almost guaranteed first place. The result of that is most people start at 1. It's just the way it works. A lot of people are using the technique of lose lots of battles in a row, so most of them tend to start at 0. So by starting at 1, you're getting yourself that 1 extra battle, which is giving you the greater amount of rings, which puts you in a higher position. So I've been Sidevale. The next video I'm going to do is just about the basics of the game. It's for newer players or people who are wondering what to do or how to set stuff up. So if you like this video, please hit that like button, please hit that share button, and if you want anything else in the future, please stick in the comments. Sidevale, this is what I want from you. Okay? Cheers, Lions and YouTubers. That's me out.